What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the TEAM PAWZ channel. Today we're going to be doing a Roaring Moon guide. We're going to look at it in depth. I'm going to be doing a lot of Temporal Forces battles. We got some special brewing for just you. Get ready for all the exclusive guides and deck test drops that I'm going to be putting out, especially after this. I have plenty of Roaring Moon games that I would love for you guys to see, just so you can experience how well this deck works. It was like easy pickings going all the way up to Ultra Ball. You know what I'm saying? I'm working my way through Ultra Ball now that I finally found a deck that I like, and going all the way to Master. Pretty much within the next 2 or 3 days, I'll be at Master Ball easy. You know what I'm saying? Just by using some of the things I want to talk about today, just some of the key concepts and the way to play the actual deck. So just to cover some of the basic concepts of the deck and some of the archetypes that I'm trying to use in the strategy of the temporal abilities that I want to use to manipulate the game a little bit. So number one, right, just a smooth introduction to the deck, right? So when I'm playing Roaring Moon, number one, said this in the quick guide, gotta find Greninja. There's no way to not find Greninja, right? You're gonna have 4 nest balls to grab Greninja. One of these, if he doesn't just immediately show up to your hand, start searching for this. You need this to get my boy right here, right? You need Greninja first and foremost. He's gonna be the draw engine. There are other ways that we could talk about later with the different styles of this deck that allow you to have draw engines, but I played them, and for me personally, in my opinion, Greninja is the most consistent one. He's the lowest cost in my eyes playing with Greninja. Like I said before, if you can't have Greninja because for some reason he's prized and you gotta get him out of the prize, right? Games get pretty rough when you don't have Greninja. He's sitting in the prizes, right? If you can't, next option is to get a Dunsparce on the field. Mainly you're gonna probably get Dunsparce on the field by utilizing Artisan. This is the easiest way that I've been doing it, right? Just go ahead and play the stadium, get you a Dunsparce on the field, and then after a few turns, the Dunsparce should appear. You'll be able to do the draw 3. Most likely you'll do a draw 3 into this man right here. You can go back to business as usual. Now, in times of emergency, what you're going to be forced to do to get everything going, right, to get the Roaring Moons going, is you're going to be stuck using Sada. And in extreme cases, you're going to be using Explorer's Guidance to make some pimp decisions on which cards you actually need versus which cards you don't, right? And this is like a good way to force Greninja onto the field or force the Dunsparce onto the field so that you can start drawing cards, thinning out the deck, and actually playing Roaring Moon the way it's meant to be played. Now, let's talk about the moons, right? Let's talk about these two. So Roaring Moon, this one here, right, I expect to swing up to about 200 maybe in game with Roaring Moon, the basic one, and nothing more than that. Let me tell you what, because it's 10 additional damage for each ancient card in your discard pile. So by the time you get done thinning out the deck, right, I've been swinging about 200 or so max. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I get a little more than that, that means I'm like super late stage at this point, right? Super late stage at this point. Like, the game should almost be over, but expect to about 140 in the beginning of the game. You'll probably get about 140 off, and then towards the end of the game you're getting about a 200 swing, right? You're not gonna KO most of the EXs or the Vs, but if you have 2 of these in the active slot back to back, very doable, right? Easy trade for me to swing once, they KO me, I put another Roaring Moon basic out there, swing again, I'm up on the count, right? 2-1. I'm up on the count. This one, the EX, you're really trying to use frenzied gouging for the most part. You get away, I probably use Calamity Storm every now and then, like when this may be like the only moon I got in play. I may use Calamity Storm and maybe get rid of the stadium just to knock out like a V or an EX that has like a low HP. Maybe I already attacked with one of the basics prior to this, but you know what I'm saying? Like frenzy gouging is the real purpose of this card because it's an automatic knockout of whatever you choose. It solves the Charizard problem. Everybody wants to play Charizard in this format. It's starting to branch out now that we're starting to get a little deeper into the season, but everybody and their mom was playing Charizard. Everybody's still playing Charizard. So an easy way to get over the Charizard problem, I think Charizard has like 330. Like you need a 330 swing on a Charizard. If it has like a cape on, it's even worse. So frenzy gouging, automatic, get them out of here. It's a sniper. Think about this deck as a sniper, right? Now, let's get a little bit different take on like some key cards and combos. Second topic I want to talk about, key cards and combos. So this is when you really have to like dig into the trainers, right? Because I'm using this as the sniper for this deck, right? I have to be able to swap their bench and my bench as much as possible when I have Roaring Moon ready to go. So how do I load the sniper, right? I gotta be able to load the sniper. You're gonna do that with Dark Patch, right? Because you should have been thinning, right? Everybody should have been thinning with Explorer, right? You should have been thinning using the trekking shoes. Should have been thinning, right? As long as you're constantly taking Dunsparce out of the deck, that's thinning, right? Using Artisan. Constantly get the basics out of the deck, get them put onto the field, that's thinning. Earthen Vessel. Trade energies for energies for the most part. Maybe an Ultra Ball every now and then. I might trade an Ultra Ball every now and then. But usually it's energy for energy, right? Because I need the energy to go into the discard pile, overall theme, so I can use Dark Patch and Sada, right? All of that is just to power up this, right? Maybe I'll attach here, you know, in the beginning of the game, like I'm attaching to Roaring Moon for sure. But I really need one of these snipers to use frenzy gouging on whatever Charizard is out there, right? Once I have this ready to go, remember that Dunsparce does not have a retreat cost. So as long as I constantly like if this dies, put Dunsparce in the active slot, there's a Charizard on the field, Charizard's getting sniped. Boom, finna hit him, 100%. I'm finna snipe Charizard. Charizard's out of there. If you're having a problem, like maybe Dunsparce isn't available, that's when you start having to use the catchers, right? I have to use the catcher or a prime catcher. That way I can swap whatever, maybe the Roaring Moon is in my active and I need to swap them for EX so I can also pull his Charizard onto the active slot. That way I get EX and Charizard at the same time. He can't hide it. Maybe Boss even, he can't hide it, right? I sniped it, boom, Charizard's dead. He didn't even get a chance to use it, right? Take the Charizard out immediately, snipe him every time, right? Just stay up on the prize count. Another thing, when you start, like I said, some of the deck building tips, if you guys want to change some things, like just talk about the third topic of this video, if you guys want to change some things, I just want you to try to trust me for a little bit. Play the deck, don't take my word for it, play the deck. But I've seen the Lost Box version of Roaring Moon. I've seen the Ancient Box version of Roaring Moon. I've seen it. I played it a little bit. I didn't like it. Double Moon is the way to go, right? I've seen the Lost Box, how they use Comfy, right? Comfy is basically a replacement for Greninja, but then you also run into the issue of constantly swapping Comfy in and out of the active slot. Now, Lost Box can do that efficiently, right? They got a lot of switch cards. They got bundle now to swap things in and out. And then they have the Sableye as the backup attacker. So instead of Roaring Moon being the backup attacker, which gets more powerful over time, they're using the Sableye from the Lost Box to put damage counters where they need them, and they're targeting the bench a little more, right? Which is fine, but the more I played it, the more the Charizards came out. Like, Charizard is just the normal problem for everybody who's playing this rotation. Just to get you over that hump, this version of the deck is a little better. I have to say, this version of the deck is a little better. Can you probably snipe out an early Charmander, Charmeleon with the Sableye version of the Lost Box version of this deck? Yeah, you could, but it takes time to build that up. One, the Pidgeot that Charizard decks usually use is crazy at drawing, and if you're using any kind of stadium, they're getting it faster, right? They're getting it faster. Charizard builds pretty quick, especially when they got, I've seen people play Bidoof and Pidgeot. Like, I've seen it all. Like, they're doing whatever, right? I've seen it. And if you don't have something that can hit hard, it gets rough. It gets rough, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen the matchups. I've seen how I played through some of it, and like I said, you'll see like some of the times I fail. I post both, right? I post the failures and why I think it failed, and then I post why the wins, right? I post why I'm like, oh, this was so successful. Like, this was way more successful. Like, and I played Raging Bolt, I played Lugia, I played Metang, like, I played Dialga, like, I played them. Played Scizor, I played them. All those videos will drop, right? And Roaring Moon has the best consistency. It's just so much better. If you just want to play the themes because you like the theme, by all means. But if you just want to like climb the ladder real quick, here you go. Here you go. My gift to you. Here you go. This is what this explanation is for. So you can just climb the ladder and not have any problems with it. Right. Some of the final topics, players who want to learn like more advanced tactics and use the temporal deck to its fullest. You have to focus more on the sequencing of plays, and I've made sure to point those out as well in some of the videos that I post, and I'll try to link them to this video so you guys can see what that looks like in action. But a lot of the time, I'm probably trying to use, I probably got a Dunsparce on the field from Artisan. If you have the Dunsparce on the field from Artisan, most likely 2 at a time. I usually keep 2 on the bench. The Dunsparce then does the runaway draw, or you can have, like I said, Dunsparce in the active slot. Do the Dunsparce runaway draw. It picks it up. That way you can have a free switch into Roaring Moon EX, and you don't need catcher, counter catcher. You don't need balls. You just don't worry about any of that. You just get to move it. It's like a retreat. It's like a free retreat for the Dunsparce. So whether it's a Dunsparce retreat or is the Dunsparce using runaway draw, right? Because it's in the active slot. It's a free retreat. This does not matter. And then you get to swap directly into one of the moons that you need at that time, right? Once I start getting to around like 2 or so energies left in the deck, stop using Greninja. The energies will find themselves, right? Once you pull all the energies out of the deck, most likely using Earthen Vessel. Don't use Greninja anymore, because the way you're thinning the deck to get that increase on attack for this Roaring Moon, you have to slow it down. Like, when I get like 5 cards left, you gotta slow it down. Because you're gonna like even when you start using Sadas to attach, if you don't have enough deck left, to use the Sada to build this up, which is what you need to snipe, like you gotta slow down on Greninja. Like 5 to 7 cards gotta slow down on Greninja, because you're probably gonna need to pull Sada at some point and then make those attach from the discard pile to Roaring Moon EX. So just thin, 100% thin, as quick as possible. But as you start winding down, just be careful. You don't need Greninja so much in the late game, because you're going to be using Sada and Dark Patch to attach to Roaring Moon EX, and he's going to make sure that you complete the game. If you constantly use Greninja towards the end of the game, and that energy goes to the discard pile, right? And then you only got like 3 cards left. You putting yourself in a bind that you didn't have to do, right? So just slow down. Oh, Penny. Now let's talk about Penny. At first I didn't like Penny. But then after I kept trying to take Penny out, there was nothing really left for me to use. I was like, man, I can't even really take it out, because sometimes, advanced people, when you use the Frenzy Gouge and you have the 200 damage, you kind of need to snipe again. So you probably have a second Moon EX on the bench, and you got to get this one out of there, right? You might need to snipe twice. So Penny, right, whether you gave up a EX or whatever happened, Penny is a good way to get the card out of the active slot, throw the second Moon EX in, snipe, and now you have another fully healed, right? Fully healed Roaring Moon EX to snipe again, right? So sometimes you will have to use this tactic. You'll have to snipe, get the 200 damage on this moon, pick them up, shift the other one off the bench, and then put this one back down. That way you can reuse the snipe. You know what I'm saying? You gotta reuse it. So sometimes that situation will occur, which is why I couldn't really take Penny out. I tried. I was like, man, I could use this slot for something else. I also tried Trekking Shoes. You could probably swap Trekking Shoes out for something else if you wanted to. But I tried it. Maybe you'll have a lot more success with switching out some Trekking Shoes if you wanted to just put an extra card in here or something. But I couldn't get rid of Penny. You need Penny, right? Penny definitely helps in those like clutch situations where you gotta swap out a EX, need a fully healed EX, put the energies on it, put it back out there, snipe again. Like it just allows you to reload. Penny's just a reload card. So make sure, I hope this helped. This deck, like I said, was the best for me. Like I said, I really hope that I went over most of the scenarios that you will encounter. You'll have no issues using this deck from this point forward, and you just climb straight to Ultra Ball. That being said, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the video. Man, I appreciate y'all tuning in and taking some of this into consideration to help better your game. That's all I want to do, man. Make y'all better. I'm out here trying to deck test every single part of the rotation. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got more videos coming soon. Peace.